Aqui em Ariquemes, Rondônia, são pontualmente 10 horas 20 minutos ou 14 horas 20 minutos OTC. Estamos gravando uma transmissão em DRM na frequência de 21.750 Khz. Existem vários rádios nesse momento nos 4 cantos do Brasil, testando a codificação dessa transmissão.
French people, the welfare state, on employment law, on, for example, the determination to stop companies like ArcelorMittal from closing down inefficient plants and threatening to nationalize them. This is not a business-friendly environment right now. Would you agree?
I think that what is important for me is
esta é uma transmissão em DRM onda curta 21.750 kHz.
It's a business-friendly environment in France today.
I'm a business person. I don't judge people on what they say. I judge people on what they do. And for the moment, I'm watching carefully about the action deriving from the competitiveness law, which has been passed, or the government is going to pass. And I will judge in function of that.
And Mr. Gunn, you, more than almost any other businessman I've ever met, you travel the world the whole time. I think you once called yourself a citizen of the world rather than a citizen of any particular country. How worried are you by the lack of competitiveness in France, and maybe you could argue across Western Europe as a whole?
Well, you know, I'm worried about it as long as there is no action about it. My big concern was we have a problem, we're talking about it, we're not acting on it. And what is good now is the situation became so really wants to act, and that's for me is a relief.
There's one other very specific point I want to raise. You had one very difficult incident at this company when you and other senior executives became convinced that some of your colleagues, 3 senior colleagues, had been selling confidential secrets about your electric car technology. 3 men were named and shamed, and it then turned out that you were completely wrong, that they hadn't been selling secrets.
And we said it officially. We reestablished the people, and we tried to...
The damage you had done to 3 individuals... Well, it can sometimes be too late to do the right thing.
Well, it was
and maybe the right thing you should have done, frankly, was resign.
It was not, no, come on. I mean, look, these are companies. These companies have businesses. You have boards and you have shareholders, and they decide. And they decide not in function of some kind of emotional burst on an incident. They decide in function of their true interest, which is about the value of the company, the value of the alliance, and the value of the business. And I think that everything which happened in Renault in this unfortunate set of events went to the best interest of the shareholders.
Yeah, you said that there were multiple proofs that you were 100% sure these guys were guilty, and then you had to retract the whole thing. It's a question of judgment, really. In the end, did you exhibit such poor judgment that the faith of the staff and of the public in your leadership of the company was under threat?
Yeah, you know, when you are relying on information coming from people you trust, you make a judgment based on this information. Here, this is not the judgment which was wrong, it's the information you were giving which was wrong, which is a completely different story.
A final thought on the way in which you handle an extremely burdensome corporate responsibility. You are the CEO of Renault. You are also the CEO of the Japanese giant Nissan. There is an alliance between the two. You have to spend a substantial chunk of your time every year in Japan, a substantial chunk here in Paris, and a substantial chunk looking after your global interests. Is that possible? Is this unique alliance, it's not a merger, but an alliance between Renault and Nissan really in the best interests of either company?
Well, you know, my mandate in Nissan comes every 2 years to renewal. My mandate in Renault comes every 4 years to renewal. When in 2005, for the first time, I was elected, when they were voting, that I would be taking both jobs, because I was already the CEO of Nissan. the main artisan of the turnaround of Nissan in 1999. I've been running the company for 6 years. So the shareholders voted knowing.
Sure. Knowing. But you know what? That's what intrigues me.
Yeah.
You succeeded in turning around Nissan.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, you haven't succeeded in turning around Renault.
Oh.
Seems to me you have finally found a job that is too tough for you. I mean, doing the...
Frankly, I don't think that you should link both. I think that
we can't help
for the last 4 years, you have to admit that there have been enough outside events, headwinds, particularly against generalist to the euro crisis, to the actual slump of Europe. You say, okay, so how come that these guys turn around Nissan, and you recognize that Nissan performance is very good, Nissan is growing very well, has an exceptional balance sheet, making a lot of money. How come that these guys perform so well, when he's heading Nissan, which is I'm heading now, and at the same time, having such average performance?
That's what everybody's asking.
What?
No, that's what everybody is asking.
It's because it's tough in Europe. It's because it's tough in Europe, and that's it. That is not because, he's all of a sudden...
Esta é uma transmissão em DRM. Estou aqui em Ariquemes, Rondônia, captando e codificando o sinal em 21.750 Khz, onda curta.
Enough resources, when it comes to Renault in particular, enough resources into China, into India, into other emerging markets. You're big in